Welcome to Building the Future of Work Together, the podcast where we explore how we can build the future of work with neurodiversity in mind. Have you heard that 50% of Gen Z identify as neurodivergent, but 50% of organizations wouldn't consider employing neurodivergent candidates? Yeah, we didn't like that last statistic either, and we want to make a change. So, join Lucy Smith as she interviews inspiring guests who share their unique insights and experiences. We're going to be busting some myths and starting conversations so that we can help build a more inclusive and innovative future of work.
Hi, Lucy. So can you tell me a bit about your background and what inspired you to start Inclusive Change at work?
Oh, this is dangerous because when somebody asks me about my background, 45 minutes later, I've told them my whole life story. So I'm really going to try and summarize it for you. I founded a company called Inclusive Change and also a community interest company called Inclusive Change at Work. And it came out of lived experience, life experience, work, where I wanted to support the next generation of young people into the workplace, but get workplaces ready for employing neurodivergent employees and staff. My family is a neurodivergent family. I never realized it until my kids were 11 when they were diagnosed as autistic. And so both of them were diagnosed separately, 2 years apart from each other. At the time, I had a fantastic career. I loved my job. I was an officer in the National Crime Agency, and I had done some brilliantly amazing things in my life and in my career. But we've spoken about this. I realized I couldn't keep doing that career. I couldn't keep being that employee and doing what I was doing because it wasn't helping me and my family. I needed to be around for my family. I couldn't be international travel, going off and doing this at a whim or traveling up to this part of the country for 3 days a week. Well, I have a family that really needed me. So I left that career. I got a job locally. I live in Bristol and I got a job with Bristol University and I absolutely loved my job at the university. Loved it. I was the deputy head of change management at the university and I still tried to be an employee and I found it really difficult. And when my youngest got their diagnosis, at the same time, we were looking after my mother-in-law at home who was struggling with dementia. And between us as a family, I just said, that's it. I'm broke. I can't be employed. I need to stop work. Because if I can stop work, I can mend myself because there's only so much you can go. There's only so far you can go down. I need to bend myself and then I need to build myself up to be able to do something else. And I will probably be self-employed is where Inclusive Change was born. Amazing. Because I wanted to talk about neurodiversity in workplace. And I wanted to bring in my skills around change management and everything else I've done in my life and in my career, which I can't always talk about. And I told you it was dangerous about my background and where I've come from. Inclusivity or neurodiversity and change. And I came up with this name, Inclusive Change. And here I am 4 years later doing exciting things and now running an agency as part of Inclusive Change at Work that supports neurodivergent clients in work, supports organizations to understand more about neurodiversity, and also works with schools and colleges and parents and carers to help their young people understand and raise ambitions around what they can do in their careers, in their world.
Amazing. It is incredible work that you do. I love it. And you alluded to the element of neurodiversity and how important that is within what you do. It's a really simple question, but what is neurodiversity as far as...
Oh, wow. We can go on X or LinkedIn and we can get really hung up on the definitions. I'm not really good at getting the definitions perfect, but I'm going to try. All right. So neurodiversity relates to all of us. We're all neurodiverse. Okay. Neurodiversity literally is about understanding how our brains work and how we process. So Okay, neurodiversity, what is it? Okay, so I'm going to try my best to explain this, okay? But I don't always get it word perfect in terms of the grammatical explanations. But neurodiversity relates to all of us. We're all neurodiverse, all right? So in terms of a community, the world is neurodiverse, okay? And neurodiversity itself could be linked to biodiversity. If you kind of break it down and you kind of go, right, called biodiversity in order to survive. We need diversity. We need different things doing different stuff in order for the planet to survive. The same goes with humans. We need diverse brains. We need diverse ways of thinking in order for us to innovate and be creative and move forward and challenge and not do the same stuff. Because if we were all the same, it would be a boring, boring world. And we'd probably be still sat in a cave trying to work out how to keep ourselves warm. So neurodiversity is about all of us. So when we talk about that in terms of employment or organizations, I say it's about your whole workforce. It's about everyone. However, within that neurodiversity world, you will find that around about 20% of the population, that's the estimates at the moment, around about 20% of our population will be neurodivergent. Okay, so neurodivergent will relate to, and I use an umbrella to kind of talk about this. We have a neurodivergent umbrella, and there will be lots of different conditions or differences that fall under that neurodivergent umbrella that mean around 20% of our communities, our population, our workforces think differently, work differently, process the world differently, and communicate differently. And by differently, I mean from social norms. I mean from the way we've grown up and been told how this is how you do a telephone call. This is how you write a letter. This is all of those things are kind of predicated on social norms, but neurodivergence itself, those conditions that fall under that umbrella will include things like ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, Tourette's, acquired neurodiversity, which is something many of our clients come to us and talk about, that they've acquired the world throughout their life. People who have MS, multiple sclerosis, people who've had a brain injury, stroke, Parkinson's, their brains work differently. Yeah. And so you want to keep working, but actually you probably need a bit of help. Many of those conditions are protected under the Equality Act because they mean that you may be disabled. And we haven't talked about that word, and lots of people kind of shy away from that word. But if we were looking at the law and the Equality Act, we can talk about disability as part of neurodivergence.
Amazing. Thank you. I think you did that perfectly. You mentioned a lot about empowering neurodivergent community in work, and I know Inclusive Change do a lot of work around there, but you mentioned an agency, and I'm just interested to know what that looks like with regards to support and how you support through an agency format.
Thank you. So Inclusive Change at Work is a community interest company. So we're a non-profit organisation. We're set up in the west of England. So we run out of South Gloss, but we work with clients all around the country. And what we've created is an agency that supports neurodivergent clients. And so we work with people who are in work or self-employed. Those people generally will come and work with us because they have an Access to Work grant. Access to Work is a Department of Work and Pensions in the UK, Department of Work and Pensions fund that supports disabled adults in work or self-employed. We help clients get those grants, but we also support clients once they have those grants with support work. So virtual assistants, or we help those clients with support work, so virtual assistants or other forms of support. So for instance, we are building a team and have a team of staff that come from a wide range of places. We have people that come from healthcare, from recruitment, from marketing, branding, virtual assistants, PAs, as in executive assistants or personal assistants in a corporate way. We also have people who come from education, a whole range of people. So this support work that we provide doesn't just rely on one person being everything for everyone, if that makes sense. We work with associates. So we have people who are part of our company and they help manage the company and manage the business. But then we also work with associates who we work with on a freelance basis to work with the right clients to deliver the right support and services for them.
Amazing. So it sounds like you have a platform where somebody can approach you needing some help and you help to match the right support to what their needs are.
Absolutely. We have a contact form on our website, which is ICAW-CIC/home. Inclusive Change at Work, CIC. That's what it stands for. Okay. But we couldn't type the whole name because we felt that wasn't really accessible, particularly for somebody who's dyslexic or somebody who just doesn't like typing.
Amazing. So I would really encourage anybody that's interested to get in touch with Lucy and see how her team can help her.
That would be amazing. Thank you. We also provide coaching services. So we are recruiting and we have coaches within our associate network who are experienced and knowledgeable around working with neurodivergent clients, because there are challenges and differences in the way that we communicate, particularly with therapeutic activities or coaching. But most of what our coaches provide and our team provides is coaching around workplace strategies. So strategies to thrive in the workplace. And that can be for somebody who's ADHD, can be things like understanding how to prioritize or supporting how to come up with strategies to ask for reasonable adjustments even. So there's a whole range of different things that we can do with our clients.
Lucy, you've been really clear on the huge positives working with neurodivergent clients, but can you give me some insight of some of the challenge you've maybe faced with
Absolutely. So we provide training to organizations about working in teams or leading and managing neurodivergent team members. And we always talk about the strengths. So everything I talk about, I come from a strengths-based approach. However, there are significant challenges for neurodivergent staff, for freelancers, for self-employed. And some of those challenges will be around looking after yourself, looking after yourself physically and mentally. Those challenges might be in communication differences or emotional regulation. And so that can play itself out when you are working as a support team. If you are a virtual assistant or working as support or job aid with somebody, understanding how to support them and knowing how to communicate and how to engage when perhaps they're in hyper mode or perhaps they're feeling rejection sensitivity. That's something that I think any VA or virtual assistant working within this world needs to be aware of. For us, it can be things like people not turning up for a meeting or forgetting that something was in their calendar, needing a lot more prompting or a lot more engagement and one-to-one support than you may have realized. Body doubling being an example, for instance, that can work wonders for clients. That can be fantastic. And that may simply be the support that somebody needs. But you might not know how to do that straight off. You might not recognize that that's part of your support hours, those kind of things. So there are quite a few challenges to think about. And one of the biggest ones that we come up with and that we talk about a lot within Inclusive Change is safeguarding. And that's safeguarding for you as a virtual assistant, that's safeguarding for your team, but it's also safeguarding for the individual that you're working with. That is pretty much every day something we talk about. Hey, thanks for listening to Building the Future of Work Together. We hope you feel inspired to embrace neurodiversity in your workplace, start conversations, and make change happen. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and join us next time as we continue to explore how we can build the future of work with neurodiversity in mind.